Hello and welcome to another Aptera news update for July 2023. And we were lucky enough in the past couple of weeks to see the Aptera Gamma being tested in the Pininfarina wind tunnel in Italy, which is very exciting to see. Unfortunately, we didn't actually get the drag coefficient of the Gamma vehicle, but maybe that's not surprising because it is a work in progress and this is only the beginning of the validation testing for the aerodynamics of the Aptera. Now, to some extent, validation testing has already taken place in other areas of the Aptera. By validation testing, we mean comparing the simulated and predicted results that we get from a computer simulation to real-world environments. So, for example, the Aptera beta vehicles were used to validate a lot of the parts of the drivetrain, which in turn led to decisions being made in the design process and the engineering evaluation, and ultimately the final production vehicles. So now we see validation testing being carried out in the wind tunnel to prove if the aerodynamics are meeting up with the computational fluid dynamic calculations that were made. Now, obviously, aerodynamic efficiency is a very high priority for the Aptera. It is a cornerstone of what makes this vehicle so efficient, especially at higher speeds. So the validating process is incredibly important to the overall engineering process. They need to find out how well their previous simulations correlate to the real-world data. And using this data, they can then go back and tweak little parts of the design for the Delta vehicles and the final production vehicle. At least they can change certain parts of the design to a small extent. Obviously, they can't go back to the drawing board and start from scratch. The tooling, for example, is already mostly complete for most of the body park structures, but there is the possibility to carve out a little bit more here and there from those molds if they feel the need to tweak certain areas of the Aptera. So it will be interesting to see in the coming weeks if we do hear of any changes being made to the Delta vehicle based off this testing of the Gamma vehicle in the wind tunnel. Fingers crossed that all the CFD testing and simulations they did in the past have proved accurate and we are going to end up with a very efficient vehicle. Moving on to the Accelerator Program. The Accelerator Program currently stands at $19.53 million at the time of recording. Obviously, the funding has more or less stopped now due to the strange fundraising regulations that I covered in a previous video. So you can only invest in Aptera at the moment if you are an accredited investor. But linked to this, the stock restrictions have now been removed on stock that people already own for Aptera, the Class B stock. Previously, you were unable to trade that stock, but now there is a way to trade them on the computer share platform, although it does seem to be a bit of a roundabout way involving filling out forms. So I don't think many shares are going to be bought or traded using that method. Hopefully the Accelerator Program will open up again to investors very shortly, especially because Aptera Gamma is now back in America and they are trying to raise awareness by going to lots of different events. Speaking of which, if you go to the Aptera website, you can go to the events tab and you can check out where the Aptera Gamma will be in the coming months. So on July 21st, which is actually today, Aptera will be at the opening day at the Del Mar races in California. They will then be at the Comic-Con International in San Diego on the 22nd, which is a huge event and should get them quite a lot of exposure. They're probably outside somewhere in the car park giving rides. I doubt they have a stand inside the event itself because, well, Aptera really doesn't have anything to do with Comic-Con apart from looking cool. On July 29th, they will be at the Tesla Takeover, and shortly after that, on September the 14th, they will be at the Innovation Day 2023, also in San Diego, California. If you can get down to any of these events, I would highly recommend going, especially if you have not seen the Aptera Gamma in person, because it is a very impressive vehicle. For me, any doubts I had about the Aptera were blown away when I had a ride in the Aptera Gamma. So I highly recommend to all of you to have that same experience. Okay, that's it for this video, guys. My apologies for the lack of content at the moment. My life is completely chaotic, and I am trying to get videos done as and when I can. As always, if you want to reserve an Aptera, do use the link below, and that will save you $30 off the reservation fee, which is totally refundable. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.